The number of homeless school children continues to go up in California, despite assertions that the state is recovering from the Great Recession. That means that for many of these kids, school is the closest they come to having a stable place to go to. Joining me to talk about the toll homelessness takes on students and public schools are Karen Alexander, homeless liaison for the San Diego County Office of Education, and Jim DiCenzo, family program manager at Father Joe's Village. Karen, there are 20,000 homeless school children in San Diego County. That's 3,000 more than last year.
Correct.
Why are the numbers growing up if we're in the middle of an economic recovery?
I think that there's something to be said, Amitha, for the fact that we as a community are now more aware of the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act, which actually began in 1987 and made provisions for students who are experiencing non-permanent housing to be able to stay in their same school if they should lose their housing. If they lose their housing, they have the right to remain at that school, and if they've gone to another district and they've moved in with relatives or with family members or friends, then they can continue to go at that same school, so that we have a broader definition for homelessness under the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act than you would normally think of under the government definition for homeless being unsheltered.
So under that definition, they're just simply counting more students.
They are. And also I do believe that we have an awareness being raised about what constitutes a homeless situation. When families have had to double up because of loss of housing or economic hardship, then that would meet that federal definition, and it allows a student to have that educational continuity, and what you pointed out so beautifully is an educational home when they otherwise would not have a home.
So Jim, what does it mean to be a homeless student? Where are these kids spending the night, and under what kind of conditions?
So in our facility, we have rooms for two-parent families and for single-parent families. And so most of the two-parent families have multiple siblings. So we can get families of 7, families of 9. I think we have a couple of large families in the facility right now.
But for kids who are not making it to a shelter, where are they staying?
Some are staying in cars. They're doubled up in houses. They're couch surfing. So they're, you know, the families, when the families experience homelessness, they're able to kind of break out and find other resources, and so they're doubled up primarily. Parents may sometimes end up sleeping in cars or sleeping in places that aren't fit for human habitation, but people are generally sensitive to the children, and so they're able to find alternative housing other than just the street, but it's still unstable.
So Karen, it's unstable, it sounds like it's chaotic and probably traumatic for these kids.
Absolutely.
Given that though, how prepared are they to learn when they get to school?
Well, that's a great point. Children who experience constant moving, that high mobility, they do have trauma. They don't have any stable relationships. They might not know where they're going to be the very next night. So when they come to school, that does impact their learning. And so we do make an effort through the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act. Every school district has a homeless liaison, and we try to identify those students that might be in that situation in order to reach out to them, to offer the supports that they need, and make sure that they have what they need to learn. For example, the County Office of Education does an annual Drive for Success each year where we collect school supplies in order to be able to hand a youngster when they come in the door, and they would be able to have a backpack full of school supplies, because that otherwise would not be available to them. So that gives them the tools, and they're equipped, ready to learn when they go into this classroom.
And how important is it that they stay in the same school?
Oh, educational stability is a huge indicator of academic success. When students belong to a school for a length of time, they own that school, they value their education, and you will see increases in their standardized testing, you will see the connections in their relationships. Educational stability is far more than reading, writing, and arithmetic. It is about those connections that students make with their teachers and with their counselors, and that is what's going to help them succeed, and they would be able to eventually be able to get out of a poverty situation.
Jim, do you have a sense of how many families are being turned away simply because there's a lack of space at homeless shelters?
It's hard to get an estimate on the number that are turned away, so I have probably about 40 families right now that are on our wait list for a room to come in. It might take anywhere from 6 weeks to 3 months in order to go through that wait list process. The only other family shelter that I'm aware of in town, the YWCA, has a family program for 120 days, and their wait list, I think, is right around 16 weeks right now. So there's a long wait to get that shelter bed.
We've got to wrap it up there. We've got resource information on our website. Jim, Karen, thanks so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, Anita.